That's my secret, cat.
I'm always angry.
Alright. I ran out of patience. On the roost!
Hey everyone, Captain, big fan of Spider-Man.
Avengers! Assemble. Hello, Peter.
And hello and welcome back to the Infinity Saga and Beyond, an MCU fan podcast. My name is Jordan Wiegand. With me today is no one. I'm here by myself. We're going to quickly talk about the new release schedule of Marvel as some stuff got shifted around. And then I'm going to give some spoiler-free thoughts on Eternals and then our spoiler review later in the show. I'll give a spoiler warning for that. So let's go ahead and talk some release date changes here. We have Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, which was moved from March 25th of 2022, is now shifted to May 6th, 2022. This is the fourth release date. It was originally May 7th of 2021, November 5th of 2021, March 25th of 2022, and now May 6th, 2022. It sounds like this stuff was not COVID related. It just sounds like they need more time for all these films. Thor: Love and Thunder was pushed to July 8th of 2022. That's fourth release date, as it was November 5th of 2021, which is where Eternal was released. February 11th of 2022, then May 6th of 2022, which is now where Doctor Strange is. Black Panther: Wakanda Forever was originally a July 8th, 2022. Before that, it was May 6th of 2022, and is now November 11th, 2022. And this also just had to shut down production because Letitia Wright, who plays Shuri, hurt herself about 2 months ago on set, and they've went on and filmed all the stuff they could without her. And now they've run out of material to film without her, so they say that they're going to get back to filming for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever sometime early 2022, and it should still make its November 2022 date. So a movie that was in November 11th of 2022 is now shifted to February 17th of 2023. That's The Marvels, the sequel to Captain Marvel. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania was shifted from February 17th of 2023 and is now July 28th, 2023. Guardians is still May 5th of 2023. Guardians Volume 3. So, that is all the official dates that have shifted around. So we are about to go and talk some Eternals, spoiler-free stuff before we dig into the spoilers and the end credit scenes. So let's talk box office real quick here. It's projected to make $71 million domestic box office weekend, which would be the fourth highest of the pandemic. It's received less than favorable reviews for critics. This is actually the MCU's first rotten film on Rotten Tomatoes. It's at like 49%, I think, right now. So we'll see how it goes when we look at, drops from weekend 1 to weekend 2 and all that kind of stuff. If it holds a lot of stuff. But, people are going to say that this is a disappointment, I guess. Some people were projecting around 80 million originally. But really, Shang-Chi got 75.3, and everybody was saying what a great weekend that was. So this is pretty close to that for another group of heroes that are unknown. And I would say that's still pretty decent. We'll see, though. It could drop off more where it doesn't hold well Shang-Chi held well for all of September. But, November is about to have Ghostbusters Afterlife in 2 weeks. And then King Richard, which is starring Will Smith. I don't see that really eating into Eternals box office, though. Not King Richard. Ghostbusters, definitely, will be a tough movie to face for Eternals. So, talking about the reviews now, of course, more favorable reviews from people that have seen the movie than the critics. Eternals is at 48% by the time that I am looking at this here. So I'm recording this Sunday afternoon. And we are at 48% out of 294 reviews and 81% audience out of 2,500 verified ratings. So it's doing pretty good that wise. But the MCU's first rotten film. I'll just give my spoiler-free thoughts here. I don't think this is the worst MCU movie. I don't think it's the best MCU movie. It's probably a little bit more in the middle. I think it's a good intro to these characters. I don't think it's a great intro to these characters. Some of these characters do not get enough time to shine just because the cast is so large. And we really focus a lot on Gemma Chan's Cersei and Richard Madden's Icarus. Some of the other side characters or other Eternals who you thought would be, main characters, Phastos. We don't get introduced to modern-day Phastos until later in the film. And none of this is really spoilers. We get introduced to all the characters very early in the film, but it's like a flashback, and then we kind of shift around from present day to past, and we'll see some of those characters then, but like Kingo character is not in it as much as I thought they would be. So I think there could have been some more balance in the characterization, the screen time for the characters. I think that would have helped, and I think it would have helped this movie and maybe the critics, I don't know, but I think it would have helped the movie definitely feel a little bit more coherent, and probably lessen some of the background stuff. I don't think we really needed as many of the flashbacks as we got, maybe cutting one or two and putting some of the characters in earlier, and I think this is probably a much better film. But overall, I really enjoyed this film. I thought it was good. I would probably rate this like a 7 out of 10, 6.5 out of 10, somewhere around there. Bottom of the barrel MCU for me is like Thor the Dark World. This is better than Thor the Dark World. I'm excited for these characters. I want to see more of them. The end credit scenes really got me excited for where these characters can go from here. But overall, it kind of took a bit to get going. It was a little long of a movie, or felt long at times, little drags, and I think some of that is the flashing back and forth, and probably would have been simpler if it was just easier to digest if it was a little more streamlined on some of those timelines. But overall, I thought it was a good movie. So that's my spoiler-free thoughts. And now we're going to get into my spoiler thoughts. We're going to go a little bit plot by plot here. So, it opens up with 5000 BC. We have our 10 Eternals: Ajax, Cersei, Icarus, Kingo, Sprite, Phastos, Makari, Druig, Gilgamesh, and Thena. And they are being sent by a celestial named Arishem to Earth to fight the Deviants. So over their time here, they're going to get a little more close to humans. They're going to get closer to humans. They're going to destroy all of the Deviants. It takes a while, though. 5000 BC, all the way up to the 1500s is when that they had defeated the last Deviant. They all kind of go their separate way after defeating their last Deviants. They don't really know what their full mission is. They're waiting to get told they can come home, is, what we're told at the beginning of the movie. So in the present day, Cersei and Sprite live together in London. Cersei and Icarus broke up around 500 years earlier after the, last of the Deviants was destroyed. She's actually now dating Dane Whitman, played by Kit Harington. He was really good in this. I thought he'd be in it a little bit more than he was. and they work at the Natural History Museum in London. And almost right away here in the movie, they are attacked by a deviant who will be named Crow later on. Icarus appears and chases the creature away, along with with Cersei's help. So now they realize deviants have somehow returned, and they try to say, "Hey, let's go get the other Eternals." And they travel to South Dakota only to see that Ajak has, who was the leader of the Eternals, played by Selma Hayek, has been killed before they came over there. And that is what, they kind of get this clued in earlier that this deviant Crow is able to absorb their powers. Because at one point Crow gets hurt and Crow uses Ajax's healing power, which is what Ajax's power is, and heals itself. And, I think Sprite says something to Cersei about it, like right away, like, "Did you see that? It healed itself." It's kind of like Ajax's power. We've never seen anything like that. And then when they go and find out that the deviant has killed Ajak, they kind of put, two and two together here and say that, Crow is absorbing the powers. And we'll get a little bit more of that later on. But overall, the opening scene here with the Eternals coming together and fighting off like a deviant and 5,000 as soon as they land, pretty much, and they help like this little village. Cersei gives this knife that he had that one of the kids had in the village, turns it into a nicer little knife or whatever, and gives it back to him. And then it shows present day her walking the streets of London, and it's showing on the billboards about this knife and how it's one of the influential piece of history from humans, and saying that they helped kind of guide us to where we are now, and that she works at the museum. She's supposed to be teaching a course there, I guess. I guess it's a school. I don't really understand what was going on there. Wikipedia says that they work at the Natural History Museum, but Dane is teaching her class while she goes in there, and they're in a museum, but also teaching a class. I don't know. Maybe that I guess could have been cleared up a bit. I don't know. But anyway, we find out that they're in a relationship. They go to a bar, they're hanging out, and then we see Sprite for the first time. And apparently Sprite's been telling Dane about all deviants and all this kind of stuff. And one time when the deviant's attacking, he says, "I thought you said you killed them all." And, she's like, "You told him?" And she's like, "Yeah, I didn't think he'd believe me." And Dane says, "Well, I didn't, until now, when he actually sees them here." But yeah, so that's kind of like the opening of the movie here. We get this fight scene really early on. We get the scene from the from the trailers with the bus flipping over and Cersei turning it into flower petals. And then, they leave London. Dane stays behind, and then they go to South Dakota, like I said, and find Ajax's body in the back of her yard. And this all happens pretty quickly here at the beginning of this movie. And they find Ajax's body. Cersei is spending some time with the body, and the little orb that comes out of her chest and goes into Cersei, and that's what they use to contact Arishem, the Celestial. She attempts to contact him, or the orb attempts to contact her, and doesn't work, doesn't really take right away, and they pretty much get up and have to go. They go get Kingo next, I think. They go to Kingo to tell him Ajak is dead, and about the. I guess they know about the emergence at this point. No, they just know about the deviants at this point. So yeah, they go and find Kingo, who's now a movie star in India through Bollywood films, and he's living it up. But we get to so once Cersei does speak to to Arishem, he mentions about the deviants were created by him as well, and it's to prepare Earth for the emergence. For millions of years, the Celestials have planted seeds and populated planets so a new Celestial can be born. The Celestials sent the deviants to destroy the apex predators of the planet to ensure the development of life, but the deviants evolved and hunt the planet's populations now, which is why the Eternals are there to kind of stop them from doing that. Just let them take out the apex predators, take them out so that way humans can continue to live, so that way the Celestial seed can grow from the population of the planet and then break through and give birth to the Celestial named Tiamat, which would cause Earth to be destroyed. A lot of the Eternals now love humanity. Some of them still have reservations about going against Arishem and what they're doing. They try to toe this line here where, Kingo says about how, if Celestials create life, like when a Celestial is there, like it causes planets to spawn and galaxies to spawn, and then it creates more planets. So, Kingo says, okay, a couple billion people die here, but, billions and trillions live throughout the universe. It creates even more life. So we have to kind of let Earth fall prey to this. But Cersei is really the one that wants to put her foot down about this. So they have Kingo now. They go to Australia, and this is where Cersei actually gets to speak to Aramesh at this point of the film. But they go to Australia. They find Gilgamesh and Athena, who is Angelina Jolie, and they live together. There's like a flashback to a time where where Thena loses her, loses her reality. They call it Mad Weary, I think, is the disease name, which is where Thena is actually seeing the memories of all the other times they've done this, and she's getting confused, and she's saying stuff like how they're all gonna die and all that kind of stuff, which everybody makes it sound like she's crazy. But then when you learn the other bit about from Aramesh that they've been doing this millions of years, and that these same Eternals have done this over and over again and just forget about it and then kind of get reset and go to the next planet. So that is kind of the main thing that's going on here. So they come up with a plan once they go get Druig. They come up with a plan. Actually, then they go get Phastos too. This is where a little clunky, where they're all kind of spread out and then having to get them all together again. So they go get Phastos and Druig, and Makari is in the spaceship still for whatever reason, living down there. And we have Gilgamesh dies when they go get Druig, because the deviants attack, and Crow kills him, absorbs his fist power that he has, like a punching strength power. I don't know really what it was. And they come up with a plan to use the Unimind, as Phastos calls it, which, while they're in the spaceship, he comes up with bracelets that each of them wear. It links them all into one mind, and then Druig would be able, because his power is to control minds, make the Celestial sleep. Then we find out from Icarus here that Icarus is pro Tiamat blowing up Earth, right, and getting reset. He is pro Aramesh. Cersei was picked by Ajax to continue to lead them because, as we'll find out here in this flashback to 5 days ago, Ajax has come around to humans as well and thinks that they have to stop the emergence. Icarus is like a by-the-book guy. He very likes the rules and, what their purpose is, and he shows her that in Alaska there are some deviants he found there, and he actually pushes Ajak down. Ajak gets killed by Crow, absorbs the power. We see that then. And then he goes to London and acts like he doesn't know any of this happened. And he mentions about how they must let Tiamat emerge. We also learn from that flashback that Ajak says that when Thanos snapped, half the population in the universe, it actually slowed and delayed the emergence. So this is something the Avengers would have had to face at some point, if they would have known. But this is something we could have seen the Avengers handle if Thanos had never come to Earth. There's another link to Thanos later on in here as well. So then the emergence starts. They send Makkari, who's the speedster. She's also hearing impaired. She is going to run and locate where the emergency is happening, and it's in a active volcano in the Indian Ocean. Sprite joins Icarus' side on this because she's in love with Icarus. Sprite is somebody that can cause illusions, but she's also forever stuck as like a pre-teenager, right? Like she's never going to grow up, and that's why she can never be with Icarus. She wants to know why Aramesh made her that way, why she was born as a, perpetual teenager. We don't really get an answer on that. But she's going to go with Icarus. So this kind of splits everybody up. Druig, Phastos, Cersei, Makkari, they're all going to work together to get the Unimind going. Kingo walks away because he agrees with Icarus, but he says he doesn't agree with Icarus enough to hurt or kill any of the other Eternals. So he's just going to bow out here. Athena is also pro Cersei here. She's anti Aramesh. So when they get to the volcano, we get the usual battles that we get in a Marvel film. We get Icarus up against like Phastos as they're trying to stall for Cersei and Druig to get everything set up. Druig gets, defeated for a bit. I think they want you to think he's dead. And now it's Cersei's plan to try to get everybody linked together and figure out how she's going to stop it herself without controlling the mind. She can manipulate stuff or change the appearance of stuff. So she changes the Celestial as it's coming out of the ground, which is a really cool visual, to like a marble or rock statue that's now hanging out in the ocean, and you have like a hand coming up and the Celestial's head coming out of the water, and it looks like a mountain now. It looks really cool. I hope we get to see that again at some point, just like characters flying by it or something. I don't know. I think it'd be cool. But yeah, so we get Icarus gets defeated. He's actually going to just fly into the sun. I guess, he's doesn't want to get reset, or I'm not really sure why he does that. That probably could have been explained more. He just dies. They can bring him back, though. As they kind of reveal, like I said, that Aramesh made all these. In the comics, the Eternals are not really like robotic or synthezoids like they seem to be in this. Because we kind of see their insides and all that kind of stuff while they're getting made, and they look kind of interesting. But yeah, Cersei, stops it. The good guys prevail. Sprite, somehow Cersei has the ability to make Sprite into like a real girl where she's gonna grow up, and she said she still had energy from the Unimind. None of that really made sense, but I'm assuming Sprite's not going to be in any sort of sequel. And then Phastos gets to live with his spouse and with his husband and his kid. That was kind of like something I wish they would have probably expanded a little bit more on. Like, we really didn't get to see much of some of these characters outside of the Eternals. Like, Makkari barely does anything in this movie. Really didn't have a lot of time for Makkari. Didn't have a lot of time for Phastos. Gilgamesh was fun, but he gets sidelined pretty quickly. Ajak gets sidelined pretty quickly. I felt like we didn't really get a chance to really know Thena that well as Angelina Jolie. She got kind of sidelined. I think that's probably my biggest complaint about the movie, is not having enough time with, even though it's a long movie, like getting to know some of these characters better. It's just so many Eternals to handle. Okay, and then we have the mid-credit scenes and the end-credit scenes. So there's a fun little thing at one point. I think when they're in Domo, the spaceship, there is Thena playing with a sword, and I think Sprite asks, is that the ebony blade? She says, no, it's Excalibur. I mentioned Arthur and stuff. That's a little fun egg, because that's going to come up in the end credit scene here. But in the mid-credit scene, Thena, Makkari, and Druig are visited by another Eternal. So at the end of the movie, Arishem comes out and like drags into space Cersei, Phastos, and Kingo. And while Sprite is no longer Eternal, Dane is left behind right when he's about to tell her about his family history. And that's kind of where we're left off. Excuse me, sorry. And then the then the end credits happen. Mid-credit scene is Thena, Makkari, and Druig, who are on the spaceship going their own separate way here. They get boarded by another Eternal named Eros. He introduces himself as Star Fox. Character is kind of popular in the comics, not super popular, but one that a lot of fans know of. I'm not too familiar with Eros, but what is fun about Eros is Pip, who's played by Patton Oswalt, introducing him. Pip is introducing him and mentions him as the brother of Thanos, and it's played by Harry Styles. Eros played by Harry Styles. So, we're meeting Thanos' brother, and he's a good guy. He's not a bad guy. So you can look up Eros or Star Fox and find out some more information on him there. But that is who Harry Styles is there. That's where the mid-credit scene stops. In the post-credit scenes, we get Dane Whitman opening up his chest of inheritance from his ancestors, and it contains the legendary Ebony Blade, the blade that Sprite asked Thena if she was using. The Ebony Blade is a cursed blade in Marvel Comics for the Black Knight. The Black Knight is, of course, Dane Whitman. Something we didn't get here. But as he's about to go pick up the Ebony Blade, we hear a off-screen voice asking Mr. Whitman, "Are you ready for it?" That voice is Mahershala Ali playing Blade. So that's what we going on here. If you don't know who Black Knight is, that's Dane Whitman. He had other family members that were also the Black Knights. The Ebony Blade was created by Stan Lee in 1955. So the blade is like cursed, where usually the more blood that the blade gets, the madder the wielder gets. We'll see if they continue with that. So it's a blood curse. Due to all the blood the original Black Knight had spilled. Now, Dane Whitman, at some point in the comics, does get rid of the curse on the blade, but I'm assuming at this point it's still cursed. And I guess that means we might see Dane and Blade. That might be where they continue. We might not get a Black Knight movie or series right now. We might get an actual him and Blade, the movie that they're making with Mahershala Ali. So that would be that'd be interesting. But anyway, that about wraps up what is the Eternals. So I hope that, if you stuck around for the spoilers, if you saw it or not, I hope you enjoyed the movie. I know a lot of people said they thought it was boring. I don't think there was a lot of boredom on my end. It was just a little bit of... I really just wanted more of the characters. And I think if we would have gotten more of the characters, it would have been better. I thought it was beautifully shot. I thought the cinematography is really nice. I thought the superpowers looked great on everybody. The suits looked good, I thought. Really, for me, came down to not spending enough time with the characters. And this is, people could say, Guardians, were introduced without them, and we didn't spend too much time with them. With it only being like 4 or 5 characters in Guardians, so it's a lot easier than the 10 Eternals, spending time with them. And even though they kill a few off, it's tough because you don't feel as much. Like I wish I would have felt more for Gilgamesh or Ajak dying, but they just weren't around enough, and I didn't spend a lot of time with them to even see that. So unfortunately, I think that's where we're at. But yeah, so if this upcoming week on Friday is Disney Plus Day, where they're going to be doing a whole bunch of, I guess, announcements or trailers we might get on Disney Plus Day. We'll see what we get. I already have it scheduled for Jack Seepersound joining me to talk this weekend coming up, to talk about what is announced on Disney Plus Day. So there will be an episode talking about that, and then after that we're going to be building up to Hawkeye, which my friend Matt Hartgrove will be on, talking about Hawkeye every episode. So join us there. My cousin Brandon and I are going to do a road to the Book of Boba Fett on our Star Wars podcast, The Pod Awakens, if you're interested in that. I think I mentioned it an episode or two ago on here, that we're going to start with Attack of the Clones, and we're going to start with Attack of the Clones and see the Star Wars saga from Boba Fett's perspective as we lead up to the Book of Boba Fett. So we have Attack of the Clones, we have the 6 or 5 Clone Wars episodes that he's in, then we're going to talk Empire. I know he's in a scene of the New Hope special edition, I think it is. We're just going to talk about that in the Empire Strikes Back because it doesn't really show us anything. I'm not going to spend a whole hour talking about, one scene that he's in A New Hope. We're going to go Empire, then we're going to go Return of the Jedi, then we're going to go Mandalorian, and that'll lead us up to the Book of Boba Fett, which Logan Stump and I will be breaking down on the Pod Awakens. So check that out. But other than that, thanks for following. If you want to reach us on Twitter, it's at TO Infinity Saga, Facebook.com/Infinity Saga Beyond, or you can email us marvelplusrecaps@gmail.com. Thanks for listening and have a great rest of your week.